Let's start with the ES1. It's already got this pitch modulation selected in the router. If I do this, then both of those arrows are close together, and it should set the intensity, which is what it calls the depth. And you can set the rate. And just a note, I don't have to explain this again, but if you change this and make them a distance between the top triangle and the bottom triangle, this is the value of the intensity, or the depth, when the mod wheel is at 0%. The mod wheel should be on your MIDI keyboard. And this is the depth or intensity when the mod wheel is at 100%. So actually I don't have a mod wheel on my keyboard, I've got a mod button, and the mod button goes from 0% to 100%, so you should be able to hear the difference between this and this. So it doesn't change the rate, it changes the intensity, it changes the depth. And both of those words are synonyms, they mean the same, and they mean basically the amount of modulation that is actually applied. Not the speed, but the actual amount of modulation that's applied to wherever it's going. Okay, let's hurry up a bit. ES2. ES2 is a bit more complicated. It's controlled via these matrices, I was about to say matrices, by this matrix, I suppose, and they call it the router. And already they're set up pitch 1, 2, 3, mod wheel, again it's a little bit smaller, but if I move this up, I just want to move the bottom one, there we are, so then it sounds like this. And LFO2 is already set up to do pitch modulation, and if I recall the default again, all you need to press is the mod wheel and it's already set to do it. Which is a very normal thing for the mod wheel to be set to do by default. RetroSynth has a vibrato modulation already baked into it, and you can't change the routing, so it's always vibrato. You've got these two depth sliders, you've got this one here, and then the amount of vibrato that's actually applied to the oscillator itself. So, and you've got this rate here. Oh, where's that? There it is. And you've got the sync, and you can change how the wheel functions, and also some mod wheel settings over here in the settings, which are quite useful to explore. XS24 is controlled by a matrix, a bit like the ES2. Again, let's change so it's doing pitch by the mod wheel, via the mod wheel, and of course the source is LFO1. So again, if I press the mod wheel, you can hear it's quite subtle. That I don't know why. There we are, it's less subtle. That's pitch modulation. ESP is interesting synth. All of these old ones, they're quite limited, but they're interesting to use. It's funny how it's a quite short sound, of course, without the sustain. Let's turn the sustain up so we've got some actual sustain to work with. We can hear things. Vibrato. With the speed low, can't really hear it. There we are. This is the intensity or the depth. If it's the other side, of course, it's wah, which changes the cutoff frequency, and that's really cool as well, although you can't have both at the same time. And ESE, unless you have two of them, ESE is the ensemble synth. Again, nice for string sounds. Let's have a listen. Let's turn off the phaser, or the chorus rather. Sounds a bit like a phaser to me. Let's turn off chorus so that we can hear what's going on. Vibrato is controlled here. There's already a little bit of vibrato being applied. That's off. That was the default. But there you are. There we are. And pitch modulation in ESE. Sculpture is a bit more complicated. There's a lot to learn about sculpture, but down the bottom you'll be able to see the LFO1 down here, which is where I'm going to try it. So let's turn that on. Pitch is already targeted. It's already going 2 Hz, which is nice and quick. Here's the amount or the depth. And that's how to do that. As I say, lots more to learn about that, but that's basic pitch modulation. EVOC is the vocoder. This has a strange modulation. Again, you can set the lower and the upper bounds of the range, of the depth. You can, for some reason it's defaulted at 32 bars. I think that's because it's designed to be playing very long pad sounds over a long length of time. But of course, let's turn it up and have a listen. There we are, perfect. Pitch modulation in the EVOC 20. Of course, there's loads more about that. It's not about the pitch modulation at all, it's about vocoding sources. But that's just a whistle-stop tour through pitch modulation in Logic.